All right, folks, just 24 hours separates us and another enormous weekend of football, starting with college football and Iowa State going up against one of my good friend and coworkers' alma mater, Arkansas State. So that will be really interesting to see what happens there. But an enormous weekend in the NFL, enormous week 3 with a ton of huge games this weekend. And there's a few things I'm looking for this weekend. Number one, can the quarterbacks finally get it going? I think through week 2, this is some of the worst quarterback play I've seen in the NFL in a long time. And some of the stats would back that up. If you look at the number of 300-yard passing games right now through week 2, we've had 5. A year ago, there was 15 at this same time frame. There's been a close to record number of interceptions right now. Teams are playing a lot more double high safety, so teams are forcing them to run the ball. I don't know if it's no preseason, if pass rushers are getting that much better, or if offensive line play is just terrible. But right now, the quarterback play is not very good, and I want to see if this is going to pick up and get a little bit better over the next few weeks. Number 2, the Baltimore Ravens. I would not call this must win, but it's one step below must win. They play at Dallas this weekend, an enormous game, probably the biggest game in the NFL, and they can ill afford to go 0-3 because if you look at what they have after the Cowboys, they have the Bills, at Cincinnati, the Commanders, and then at Tampa Bay. 4 out of their next 5 games are playoff teams or potential playoff teams. They have a pretty tough road ahead. And if they go 0-3, if they want to go 10, that means if they want to go 10-7 to get one of those wild card spots, they got to win 10 of their next 14 games, which is a pretty tough road to hoe. So this is an absolutely enormous game for the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, Chargers at the Steelers. 2-0 teams who wouldn't say have been overly impressive, and their level of competition has not been that great. So looking to see which one of these two teams is going to emerge out of these two. I think that the Chargers right now, they've played 2 very easy games so far. Justin Herbert has not had to do a whole lot on offense. They've relied more on running the ball. And on the Steelers side, I love their defense, but I still want to see Justin Fields do it in a big game when he has to make some plays. So I'm really looking forward to the Chargers at the Steelers. Number 4, Lions at Arizona. The Lions coming off a very disappointing win against Tampa Bay where they had multiple chances to win it. Going to Arizona, playing who I think has been the best quarterback so far in the NFL this year, Kyler Murray. I loved what I saw from Kyler Murray last week. Perfect passer rating, first quarterback ever to have a perfect passer rating, over 250 yards passing and over 50 yards rushing. And I'm looking to see if he can keep that going. And Marvin Harrison Jr., after a disappointing week 1, was tremendous last week. He had 2 enormous plays. He just looked like he was back in college again, making a lot of huge plays. So that was really exciting to see. And then the last one, Eagles at Saints. I still do not fully buy into this Saints team. They've scored 15 drives in a row to start off the season, which is an NFL record, but I've seen enough Derek Carr in my career just to know that I don't think this is who he is. And, they're relying heavily on Alvin Kamara, who was one of the best running backs in the NFL a few years ago, but the last couple of years he's had a little downturn. So I'm really looking to see if they can keep this going. I'm not sure I'm 100% there yet and buying into them being a good team. So let's get to my picks. So right now we're off to a rough start. We are 3-7 so far this season. Last year at this time we were 7-3, but I feel like we are due for a good week here. So here's where we're going with this week. Number 1, I'm going to take the Cardinals +3 at home versus the Lions. And like I said, I love what Kyler Murray did last week. This looks like the Kyler Murray that we thought he would be a few years ago. And he's got Marvin Harrison Jr., probably the best wide receiver he's played with outside of DeAndre Hopkins. I love their tight end, McBride. And the Lions have been a little disappointing on offense so far. I thought they would be a big play offense and be able to run the ball really well, and they've really never not done either. And Jared Goff has looked a little shaky through 2 weeks so far for me. So I'm going to take the Cardinals and the points +3 at home versus the Lions. Number 2, another home underdog. I am going to take the Cowboys +1.5 at home versus the Ravens. And when I saw this line, I actually double-checked it because I was surprised to see the Ravens were favored at Dallas. But I don't think last week Cowboys defense is a true representation of who they are. I think they're a lot better on defense than a team that gave up 44 points to the Saints. I think they got the best defensive player in the NFL. I really project them to be one of the best defenses in the season once it's over. So I think they're going to play a lot better this week at home. I look for Dak to play better. And I am right now have some big question marks about this Baltimore Ravens team. Number 3, I'm going to take the Bears +1 at Indianapolis. And these are 2 quarterbacks who have really struggled through week 1. Right now, if you look at Anthony Richardson, he has been the most inconsistent quarterback in the NFL the last 2 weeks. He had a couple big plays in week 1, but he only completed 9 passes in week 1. Week 2, he throws 3 picks in a game that he should have won versus Malik Willis, not just simply because he did not play very well. And right now, I think he's just got a long ways to go. He's got a ton of talent, but he just makes a lot of big mistakes. They're playing against the Bears team, who I think have a really good defense, and they're still struggling on offense, but I think Caleb will play better this week if they can get some protection. But the protection's not going to be as big of a deal as it was a week ago against the Texans because the Colts defense just ain't very good right now. So I'm going to take the Bears +1 at Indianapolis. Number 4, I'm going to take Philadelphia +3 at New Orleans. And this basically comes down to what I just said. I'm not sure I buy into New Orleans being a good team yet. And I think if you would have looked at this game 2 weeks ago, just 14 days ago, you would have assumed that the Eagles would have been favored by 3 or 4. And what has changed since then? I love Saquon Barkley. If Saquon Barkley just catches that ball, they win on Monday night and they're 2-0. This whole thing trajectory looks a lot different. And I think the Saints are going to come back down to earth here a little bit this week. And then finally, I'm going to take Seattle -4.5 at home versus the Dolphins. And right now, Dolphins are going to be playing without Tua, obviously. So they're going to have their backup quarterback traveling cross-country to play in one of the toughest stadiums in the NFL, going against a Seattle team that has been quietly kind of impressive. And Geno Smith has been pretty good so far this season. He's probably been in one of the top 7 to 8 quarterbacks so far in 2024. I look for Seattle to win this by a touchdown. So those are my picks for week 3. Would love to hear your thoughts, and we'll talk to everyone Sunday night.